Hello everybody, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Quick Take and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. In today's video, I will be analysing 5 potential signings Chelsea could make to fill the void left following the departure of Mason Mount to Manchester United and ranking them in order from worst to best. But before I get into that, I would just like to say a massive thank you for all the support, the kind comments and the staggering 1,500 likes that Jackson Breakdown received. You guys are truly amazing and I'm humbled beyond belief. Alright, let's get into the video. So, starting off our list for potential replacements for Mason Mount is Dominic Szoboszlai. Actually, it's not. Because whilst I was writing this video, Liverpool decided it would be a good idea to activate his €70 million release clause. This has annoyed me greatly as Szoboszlai was actually a large part of this video. Football is a highly unpredictable sport and it's one of the reasons why I fell in love with it. There are still plenty of fantastic players who I believe can become excellent replacements for the former Chelsea star, starting off with Xavi Simons from PSV. The 20-year-old attacking midfielder has already had a more impressive career than many professional footballers around the world. Simons began his time in football as a product of Barcelona's famous academy, the breeding ground for some of the world's best players including Lionel Messi, Xavi and Andres Iniesta. Simons impressed immediately following his arrival at La Masia in 2010, gaining interest from the two biggest clubs in world football, Real Madrid and Chelsea. However, a move failed to materialise and Xavi Simons continued to impress in the academy, his cool and mature nature awarding the Dutch talent the role of captain for the Barcelona youth team. After failing to come to an agreement with Barcelona for a new contract, the youngster would make a move to Thomas Tuchel's PSG in July of 2019. For the next 2 seasons, Simons played in the academy and under-19s, making his official professional debut for PSG in February of 2021, following the arrival of Mauricio Pochettino, who is known for trusting the youth and giving them chances in the senior squad. It would be in April of that same year when Simons would make his Ligue 1 debut against Strasbourg. The game ended 4-1 in PSG's favour. At the beginning of the 21-22 season, it was decided by Mauricio Pochettino that Simons would be promoted to the senior squad on a more permanent basis, training and going on pre-season with the likes of Mbappe and Neymar. Although Simons netted in back-to-back friendly games, it was decided the Dutch prospect needed a little more time with the under-19s before cementing himself into the side. He would return to the senior side after a few months and would go on to make his first professional start in December of 2021 in a 3-0 cup game. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Simons, however, as the youngster would go on to miss the last penalty in the Coupe de France round of 16 against Nice, a highly unfortunate affair. Pochettino claimed it wasn't his decision to have the inexperienced Xavi Simons take such a pivotal penalty. Xavi Simons would still go on to win the league with PSG before moving away to the Eredivisie side PSV on a free transfer. The original plan was for Simons to sign a contract extension and go out on loan. However, PSV wanted a more final move, and one thing led to another. Simons signed a 5-year deal whilst PSG instilled a €6 million buyback clause, which can be activated in 2023. A very shrewd piece of business in hindsight. Since joining PSV, the Dutch wonderkid has exploded. This season, Simons has played 34 games for PSV in the Eredivisie, starting all of them and has scored 19 goals and made 8 assists, making him the joint top goalscorer in the league alongside Duvikas, winning the Player of the Month award in August and March. Bear in mind, he only turned 20 in April, meaning for the majority of this incredible season, he was but a teenager. In terms of percentile rankings, Simons is off the charts, green bars everywhere you look. When compared to other attacking midfielders and wingers, Simons ranks in the 97th percentile for non-penalty goals, non-penalty expected goals and non-penalty expected goals plus assisted goals. He also ranks very highly for total shots per 90 at 2.92, assists, pass completion, progressive carries, successful take-ons, touches in the opponent's box, and surprisingly aerial duels won at 1.19 per 90. The point is, Xavi Simons is an end product machine, another thing Chelsea has been lacking for a while, certainly last season. Simons' heat map shows he likes to roam across the final third, meaning his versatility would allow him to be played either down the right in an attacking group of Mudryk and Nkunku and Simons behind a striker, or if Nkunku picks up an injury or is just being rested, Simons would have no issue playing in a more central position. According to Football London, Xavi Simons could be available in the summer for around £44 million or €50 million. For a young player from the famous Barcelona academy who is scoring and assisting left, right and centre, winning Player of the Month awards like their participation trophies. £44 million is more than fair, and Chelsea should do everything in their power to sign him. In no way should he be considered overpriced or overhyped. One stumbling block which could present itself in a potential move for Xavi Simons could be his relationship, or lack thereof, with Mauricio Pochettino. According to Simons, during his time at PSG, Pochettino didn't really communicate with Simons to a level the player wanted, potentially leaving the youngster to feel forgotten or even left out. Of course, bridges can always be mended, and I believe one phone call where the Argentinian expresses to Simons how much he desires and needs him to play for his side to lead Chelsea back to former glory, all previous issues could be mended. Next on the list is Celta Vigo's Gabri Veiga. Gabri, or Gabriel Veiga, was born on the 27th of May 2002 in Oporino, Pontevedra, Galicia, a town known for its production of granite. The Spanish midfielder joined the Celta Vigo academy at a young age, always having a desire to become a world-class footballer. It would be on the 25th of August 2019 when a 17-year-old Gabri Veiga would make his official debut for the Celta Vigo reserves against Internacional de Madrid and a 2-2 draw. In December of that same year, Veiga would net his first goal in a 6-1 loss to CD Atletico. 9 months later, Gabri Veiga would make his official La Liga debut against Valencia in a 2-1 home victory. The Spanish midfielder would score his first official goal as a professional footballer in September of last year. It wouldn't be until January of this year when the number 24 would become a permanent addition to the Celta Vigo senior squad after 2 years of playing for the reserves, developing his skills and honing his craft. But what is his craft? Well, Gabri Veiga is certainly a midfielder which could be described as a pure box-to-box number 8, possessing key traits which make him a highly useful cog to any machine he is implemented in. His strengths come from his persistence. Veiga is a relentless presser, often intercepting opposing players, snatching the ball away before beginning a counter-attacking maneuver for his side. The Spanish midfielder is highly aware of his surroundings and is able to escape the opponent's press through slick footwork and the usage of his natural physique. Gabriel Veiga is on the taller side, which allows him to hold off players attempting to rob him of possession. It must also be noted Veiga is a lethal goal scorer, inside and outside the box. In terms of finishing, one could compare him to the likes of Frank Lampard. I'm not saying he is anywhere near the level Frank Lampard ever was during his peak. However, his timing when entering the box and his ability to score from ranges which get you out of your seat is certainly an exciting trait to possess. When taking a gander at his heat map, it would suggest the Spanish midfielder likes to operate off the right of the midfield and the attack, fitting into the famous Eriksen role in a Pochettino 4-2-3-1. Veiga, this season in La Liga, has played 36 games for Celta Vigo, starting 28 of those games. In that time, he scored 11 goals from an XG of 6.1, almost doubling his XG. Veiga also went on to provide 4 assists for his side from 2.93 expected assists. In terms of his style of play, he likes to keep things moving fluidly, playing one-touch football whilst implementing flicks into his game, similarly to Eden Hazard. Although Veiga is still somewhat of a raw talent, there are certainly traits in the young Spanish midfielder which would suggest he can become a highly deadly and sought-after player in a few years' time. His attacking output metrics are seriously impressive. When compared to other midfielders, he ranks in the 99th and 98th percentile for goals per 90 and shots per 90. He also ranks in the high 80s mark for progressive carries, successful take-ons, and touches inside the opponent's box. His main weakness, however, does appear to be his passing output. Gabriel Veiga averages just 29.11 attempted passes per game, putting him in the 3rd percentile overall. However, in my opinion, his style of play isn't to be a playmaker, but a creator. Veiga excels in creating opportunities for himself and his side through pressing, dribbling, and shooting output. According to Nazar Kinsella, Chelsea have made Gabri Veiga their number 1 priority following the departure of Mason Mount. The London club are expected to make a move for the Spanish midfielder, who has a £34.6 million release clause or €40 million. This is certainly one to keep an eye on, as Chelsea aren't the only club interested in his signature, as Manchester City have entered the race to sign the 21-year-old. Heading back over to the Netherlands for our next entry is Mohammed Kudus of Ajax. Kudus signed for Ajax back in the summer of 2020 for a €9 million fee on a 5-year contract, with Erik ten Hag branding the Ghanaian prospect a player with incredible potential. Prior to joining Ajax, Kudus played for Noord-Zeeland, and before that he was a pupil of the Right to Dream Academy in Ghana. After signing for Ajax, Kudus impressed many as he hit the ground running, grabbing 3 assists and 1 goal in his first 4 league matches for Ajax. However, this run of form would be cut short following a highly unfortunate knee injury suffered against Liverpool in the Champions League, which would keep Kudus out of action for a few months. He would make his return to football against PSV in January as a late game substitute. However, this aggravated his injury and put him on the sidelines for another month. After returning again, Kudus found it difficult to find his footing, ending the season with 4 goals and 3 assists, having played 17 matches, starting in less than half of them. His 21-22 campaign wasn't much better. In fact, it was worse as injuries continued to plague the Ghanaian international. Kudus would start only 4 league games, making 16 total league appearances, netting once and assisting once. Injury problems can either make or break a player. It's a demoralizing issue to try to deal with. Imagine growing up wanting to do nothing more than play football. You make it, you're playing for Ajax, a highly respectable club, only to spend the majority of the season watching games from the medical room as all your teammates get to grow and make names for themselves. The frustration felt by any player in this position must be maddening. All hope is not lost, however, as Kudus enjoyed a much improved 22-23 season, missing only 4 games due to injury and 2 matches as a result of illness. Kudus will make 30 league appearances, starting in the majority of these, scoring 11 goals and providing 3 assists for his side. When looking at his metrics compared to other attacking midfielders and wingers, Kudus ranks incredibly highly in certain stats. He sits in the 99th percentile for non-penalty XG, pass completion and successful take-ons. He also ranks in the high 90s for non-penalty goals, total shots per 90 and touches in the opponent's box. In terms of weaknesses, I can't really discern anything major other than his injury record. Kudus appears to be a lethal player who is highly involved in the attack. Much like Veiga, Kudus likes to play more on the right, again fitting into the right-hand side of a Pochettino 4-2-3-1, although this position does demand a player who will need to involve themselves in the build-up play and not just be that guy to score the goals. According to reports, Ajax have placed a £40 million price tag for the signature of Mohammed Kudus, a fair price in today's market, although, and this part is my opinion, Xavi Simons for £4 million extra would be a better move. Kudus is still a promising player whose only real worry is, as said before, his injury record. Moving on to the next player, which is the Frenchman Rayan Cherki. Born on the 17th of August 2003 in Lyon, Rayan Cherki has become one of the most exciting players in the world. He started off his footballing career in the AS St. Priest Academy in 2009 when he was just 6 years old, before moving to his eventual home club in 2010, that being Lyon, where he would grow into one of their most promising prospects in the history of the French club. It wasn't long before Cherki was playing for the Lyon reserve side, making his debut at the age of just 15. This would become a common theme across Rayan Cherki's career, making his debut at surprisingly young ages. On the 7th of July 2019, before society collapsed, Rayan Cherki officially signed his first ever professional contract with Lyon until 2022. Later in October of 2019, he would make his Ligue 1 debut against Dijon. 1 month later, he would play his first Champions League match against Zenit in the group stage. He was only 16 years old. 2 months later, he would score his first goal as a senior player, making him the youngest goalscorer in the history of the club. Since then, Cherki has continued to make a name for himself, becoming a player to rely on to make things happen when the team need it most. Lyon's head coach Christian Gourcuff stated, "He has a big future. He's a very, very good footballer." In terms of who he is as a player, Rayan Cherki has all the hallmarks to become a superstar. When he's on the ball, he can create magic. His reflexes and knowledge of balance and direction and intuition into the split-second decisions his opponents have to make and ways in which to exploit these decisions make Rayan Cherki an incredibly fun player to watch. He is able to glide past players, spinning and turning in tight quarters, creating chances for his side and himself. It's no wonder he's been linked to some of the biggest clubs in the world. In terms of his metrics compared to other attacking midfielders and wingers, Rayan Cherki ranks in the high 90s for expected assists, shot creating actions, passes attempted, progressive passes received, and touches in the opponent's box. Staggeringly, Cherki ranks in the 99th percentile for successful take-ons and in the 98th percentile for progressive carries. For reference, Neymar ranks in the 82nd and 86th percentile for these two metrics respectively. It's clear Cherki is an incredibly direct and forward-thinking player. Imagine what he could do playing alongside the likes of Christopher Nkunku and Enzo Fernandez, and even, potentially, Victor Osimhen. The only weaknesses to Cherki's game are his defensive actions and his end product, having scored only 5 goals and assisted 6 in 39 games for Lyon this season. Although I must remind you, Rayan Cherki is still only 19 years old. Finishing can certainly be worked upon in training. If he is able to iron out this part of his game, combine that with the tenacity on the ball, and you've got yourself a serious player capable of blowing a hole in the most watertight of defenses. His heat map suggests he is a fairly versatile attacking midfielder, playing across the final third, allowing him to slot in pretty much anywhere. Versatility is a strength in itself, and for Rayan Cherki, his list of strengths is fairly substantial. In terms of fee required to prize the Frenchman away from his beloved Lyon, it is believed £43 million is the lucky number, which, in my opinion, for one of the most exciting French talents in world football, this is a very attractive price and should not be looked at with contempt. Next up, we're heading over to our German friends with the Bayer Leverkusen technical wizard, Florian Wirtz. Born on the 3rd of May 2003 in Brevela, Florian Wirtz was destined for greatness. He joined the FC Cologne Academy when he was just 7 years old before moving to Bayer Leverkusen as a 16-year-old prodigy, where he would impress many, even to the point where the young German was promoted to the senior side from the under-17s. In doing so, Wirtz would break a record previously held by former Chelsea player and lover of donkeys, Kai Havertz. He became the youngest ever player in the history of the Bayer Leverkusen senior squad at 17 years and 15 days old. Wirtz would break another record shortly afterwards as he netted his first goal against the mighty Bayern Munich, becoming the youngest goalscorer in Bundesliga history, a record that has since been broken by Yusufa Moukoko. Since then, Wirtz has continued in his footballing journey with Leverkusen, signing a new deal 2 days before Christmas 2020 to bring his contract up to 2023, which was then later extended to 2026 following his 18th birthday, a birthday to remember. Since then, Leverkusen and Wirtz decided together to further extend his contract until 2027, meaning he still has 4 years left on his current deal as of the time of this recording. Florian Wirtz is fairly versatile. In his first season, so to speak, he played either as a central attacking midfielder or as a right winger. In the 2021 season, he was deployed as an attacking midfielder for the vast majority of the games he played, which was 38 in total for Leverkusen, scoring 8 and assisting 8 across all competitions. Not bad for a then 18-year-old. What's even more impressive is Wirtz succeeded his goal and assist tally the following season by quite the margin. In the 21-22 campaign, Florian Wirtz played 31 games all out, scoring 10 and assisting 14, nearly averaging a goal or an assist every other game. He was on fire that season, but football is a cruel sport, and it would be against none other than the club he had spent a decade at developing, growing as a player and as a person, where he would suffer a catastrophic injury. Yes, I'm talking about FC Cologne. It would be in game week 26, the 13th of March 2022, where Florian Wirtz would suffer a nasty ACL injury, putting him out of action for months, halting his momentum immediately. His injury was so bad he wouldn't play football again until after the World Cup, totaling 9 months out of football. So far this season, following his return from injury, Wirtz has played 25 games, scoring 4 but assisting 8, meaning he was still on the same level of form he was before the injury. For some players, it takes months, sometimes years to recover from an injury like that. Sometimes they're never the same again. Not Wirtz. He was down, out, back up, and won the round Tyson Fury style. Florian Wirtz is a true warrior. Talent like his cannot be contained. As a player, he's incredibly technical. Whilst researching him, I found myself watching a compilation showcasing his class, where I saw a comment which I think puts it perfectly. The comment reads, "This kid and Kvaratskhelia just plays the game different. Literally pure control of the ball in literally any situation." For those of you who haven't seen Kvaratskhelia play, it's almost as though the ball is glued to his feet. It's like another limb to him. The same goes for Wirtz. Put him in any situation against any number of defenders, and he will find a way to weave around them or use their weight and body direction to his advantage before playing a pinpoint perfect pass or a lobbed ball for an attacker to put away. That's Florian Wirtz. You can put him in a phone box and he'd still find a way to make you fall over yourself trying to win the ball away from him. And in the Premier League, this is a very handy trait to have if you can't compete physically. In terms of his metrics, it's clear to see he is a creator above all else. His shooting output is rather low, averaging 0.79 shots per 90, putting him in the bottom 1% of attacking midfielders and wingers. Although it does average 0.2 non-penalty goals a game, which isn't too bad. He does, however, rank in the 96th percentile for assists, shot-creating actions, and passes attempted, whilst also ranking in the 94th percentile for progressive carries, and finally in the 99th percentile for successful take-ons, meaning he is better than 99% of other attacking midfielders and wingers at dribbling past players. As I believe whoever is brought in will be deployed on the right hand side in the Christian Eriksen role, dropping between the lines, creating chances and pulling the strings to make things happen up front, I think Florian Wirtz would be world class in this role. He is clearly technically gifted and a joy to watch on the ball, but his passing ability and creative instincts will bring nothing but chances and goals for Chelsea's attack next season. According to Sportmole, Bayer Leverkusen are set to demand £88 million for Florian Wirtz this summer. This will make him the most expensive option available, but sometimes you have to pay a pretty price for the best on the market. Seeing as we were able to get £55 million fixed for Mason Mount and £65 million for Kai Havertz, I don't see how Chelsea could be priced out of a deal like this, even if we're going after Moises Caicedo for £80 million and Victor Osimhen for £120 million or even £130 million. I would also like to note Fraser Fletcher reported on the 1st of July 2023 that Chelsea have both Rayan Cherki and Florian Wirtz on their radar, which is highly exciting news as both players are filled to the brim with talent, potential and creative technique. So to wrap it up, Xavi Simons, Gabri Veiga, Mohammed Kudus, Rayan Cherki and Florian Wirtz are, in my opinion, the cream of the crop in terms of attacking midfielders, who I believe are as close to Chelsea level as anyone. When ranking these players, I used context along with relevant stats in order to determine which is the best bang for our buck. The stats I mainly used were assists, expected assists, passes attempted as these players will be entering a role which demands them to be reliable ball players, progressive passes to determine how forward thinking they are, progressive carries, and progressive passes received, which basically measures dangerous passes towards or into the opponent's box. And number 5 is Gabri Veiga. Don't get me wrong, all of these players are pretty good, but when ranking these players, I'm taking into account not how good they are as individuals, but how well I think they would fit into a very specific role in Pochettino's system, a role which demands a lot of link-up play, dropping into channels to pick up the ball, make things happen for their team before providing a killer pass. Basically, technical ability. Gabri Veiga has technical ability, don't get me wrong, but compared to the others on this list, he ranks lowest and therefore is number 5. At number 4 is Mohammed Kudus, again a brilliant player with a ceiling higher than Tommy Chong, however his injury record is somewhat concerning, and when comparing the underlying metrics to the other players who have ranked higher than Kudus, they all except one in one particular stat are performing to a high level in arguably tougher circumstances, and for that, he is number 4. At number 3 is the Dutch sensation Xavi Simons. At this point, these are all brilliant replacements who could all absolutely smash it in the Prem and in a Pochettino side. It all comes down to silly pinpoint metrics because it's the fairest way to determine which is, in fact, the best option available disregarding price. In terms of goals and assists, Xavi Simons is a monster and would certainly be a breath of fresh air in this Chelsea side. The only real issue with Xavi Simons could be a potential underlying dislike towards Pochettino due to his lack of communication when both of them were at PSG. As I said earlier, this is an easily rectifiable issue, however, it still is an issue. For £44 million, you'd be getting one of the most exciting products the Barcelona Academy has produced in recent years. At number 2 is Rayan Cherki. Rayan Cherki is an absolute treat to watch. He's the epitome of a flair player who actually uses his vibrant style for the betterment of the team and not just to look good for Instagram. There's not much I can say which I haven't already said about him. For £43 million in a market where Kai Havertz went for £65 million, Rayan Cherki is a gem and an absolute steal for whoever gets him. And finally, at the number 1 spot is Florian Wirtz. To me, Florian Wirtz has the highest potential and the most to bring to this Chelsea side. His continuation of elite form following his 9-month hiatus as a result of a horrific injury, to me, speaks volumes about his character and his talent. Yes, £88 million is a lot of money, but for Wirtz, he's priceless. So, as a quick roundup, at number 5 is Gabri Veiga, at number 4 is Mohammed Kudus, at number 3, Xavi Simons, number 2, Rayan Cherki, and number 1, Florian Wirtz, although everyone from the 3-2-1 spot would be just brilliant signings. Well, that's about it. Let me know your top 5 in the comment section down below. Is there anybody I've missed? Let me know your just general thoughts. How are you doing? Did you enjoy the video? Let me know. I'll be reading every single comment and replying to as many as I can. I've been The Quick Take, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.